I have a private practice in Palos Verdes. Right now, I'm seeing patients via virtual health due to COVID-19. I see clients of all ages seeking help with different nutrition-related concerns. And I also contract with different companies who are seeking dietitian services. So I'm so happy to be here, and I'm very excited about this topic. All right. So in the midst of this cold and flu season, I get a lot of questions from people wondering what kinds of foods, are there any foods that are more beneficial than others to help keep our immune system healthy, to help prevent the cold, prevent the flu? And so I asked myself, well, what does the evidence say? What does the research say? Because if you know, there's sort of a lot of information out there on the internet, some true, some false, some kind of in the middle. And so long story short, there isn't a particular food or nutrient that's sort of the magic pill that we need to take in order to prevent a cold or prevent a flu. But there definitely are different nutrients that we can have in a variety of ways in our diet, and different strategies we can practice that can help our bodies be more equipped or primed to keep our immune systems healthy. And then if we do get sick, there are certain things that we can be doing that can give our bodies the best chance at recovering quicker. Because honestly, sometimes getting sick, getting viruses, it's just kind of part of life. But there are a couple of key nutrients that have been studied that have been proven to kind of help our body's immune system be primed with what it needs to help our immune cells be healthy, which is the overall goal. So does anybody have any ideas kind of what those nutrients might be? Yes.
I'm guessing vegetables and legumes and fresh greens and fruits might really nourish our immune systems, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said zinc and vitamin C. True. Yeah, so all of those answers that you guys said are right on. And the interesting thing also that might not be so evident is actually eating foods that take care of our gut microbiome is going to be an important thing to consider and talk about today, because there's some emerging research that is studying the gut microbiome. And there's a link between our gut microbiome and the types of microbes and microorganisms that we have, living in our intestines that can help our immune system be strong. And so some of those foods that can kind of correlate with helping our microbes and our microorganisms to be considered like the good guys or the good bacteria are foods that have a lot of fiber in them. So exactly what you said, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grains, all of those foods have fiber, which in turn translate into prebiotics. And the prebiotics help to fuel and to feed the microbes. And when we have good microbes in our gut and in our intestine, there's some emerging studies that link that to healthy immunity. So that's kind of something that we don't really think about often, because a lot of times we think about vitamin C, fruits, and just fruits and vegetables, and we don't really think that fueling our gut microbiome is going to help our immune system. Has anybody done any reading on that? Or has anybody heard that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have some yeses, I have some nos. So a couple of the dishes that we're going to be cooking today are actually high in vitamin C. And they're high in zinc and vitamin D also, which are a couple other vitamins that have been shown to boost immunity in our immune system. Okay. Other than food, can anybody else think of any practices that might be beneficial to having a healthy immune system?
Lots of good sleep,
Sleep,
and
yes.
exercise.
Yes. How about stress management?
Meditation.
Oh, meditation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about more about those practices as we continue. So the first dish that we're going to be making is straight from the Blue Zones cookbook, and it's called Veggie Casola. Has anybody made that?
No.
No. Okay. So this dish is full of color, and I'm so excited to share this colorful plate right here that has all of our ingredients, which I'll introduce. So we have eggplant, which is rich in vitamin A and also potassium. And does anybody know, is eggplant a fruit or a vegetable?
I thought it was a vegetable.
I thought it was a vegetable.
Right. So eggplant is technically a fruit because it has seeds on the inside, but culinarily speaking, we think of it as a vegetable. And same with tomato. So we have eggplant that we're going to prep. We have red bell pepper and yellow bell pepper, which are full of vitamin C and antioxidants. We have carrots, which are rich in vitamin A and fiber. And we have zucchini, which is rich in potassium and has some vitamin C and vitamin A in it as well. All of the dark colors that you see are the color variety actually of these vegetables and technically fruits. All of those dark colors are offering our body's antioxidant and phytochemical properties. So the more variety of colors that you have in your diet, the more variety and benefits that you're going to be getting from various phytochemicals and antioxidants. Versus if you just eat, all orange fruits and vegetables. Does that make sense? So what we're going to do is we're going to chop this eggplant. We're going to chop all these veggies. And that'll be the first step to making this dish. Has anybody made any intentional changes to their diet or to their sleep patterns or wellness patterns that in order to kind of just improve immunity or to improve wellness overall recently?
Yeah. I'm getting more sleep and eating lentils.
Sleep and lentils. Who said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you prepare your lentils?
With spices and olive oil, and I put them in with pretty much everything.
Okay.
And Tina said she is trying to eat less meat and more veggies.
All right.
Janine is drinking smoothies in the morning with veggies and fruit.
What kind of fruit do you put in your smoothies?
I'm a berry person, so I like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Not a big fan of bananas, unfortunately, but and I try to throw in spinach and matcha. Sometimes I have throw in some seeds, whatever seeds I have around.
So for this dish, there's really no rule in how finely chopped or thick that you do the veggies. What we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to let our oven get to about 300 degrees, and we're going to just have our roasting pan ready to go. This is a roasted dish, and so, a lot of the times when I think roasting, I think 400, 425. This recipe actually calls for 300. Does anybody know the reason for that?
Mm.
Kind of thinking about all the different vegetables that are in here, like the eggplant and the zucchini. They have a lot of water in them. And so roasting those kinds of vegetables in too high degree of an oven can kind of cause them to get kind of runny and watery on the roasting pan. Has anybody experienced that?
Probably. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. I've roasted zucchini before, kind of not knowing that at, my normal 400, 425. And the result is not pretty because of all that water. Like I said, they kind of just get mushy. So that's the reason. So what I'm doing is I'm not really having any particular method to chopping these. I'm just kind of chopping them in a way that makes them about this big. These are the zucchinis. It's about 1/2 inch maybe. So like we were talking about earlier, vitamin C is not only a vitamin, but it's also an antioxidant as well. So what that means is it helps to kind of fight against all the free radicals that are going on in our bodies every day. And so I know that when we think of immunity, we think of vitamin C and vitamin C supplements. But I do want to caution that any vitamin C supplement that's taken that equals over 2 grams could actually potentially cause kidney stones. And so you just kind of want to be careful of especially supplements that are touted as being high in vitamin C because it actually is quite easy to get our daily requirement of vitamin C from fresh fruits and fresh vegetables like bell peppers, strawberries, oranges, pineapple, citrus fruits. All those foods already naturally have a ton of vitamin C. So if somebody's taking a supplement of vitamin C on top of a vitamin C rich diet, they could increase their chances for developing calcium oxalate kidney stones. Okay, can get this seed out of here. Has anybody experienced that firsthand with excess vitamin C? No?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
Not so far. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Whoever's been in my cooking show before or in my nutrition talks and food demos before, does anybody remember the role of vitamin C in relationship to iron? Vitamin C actually helps our bodies absorb and utilize iron-rich foods better. Okay. Okay, so we have our peppers, we have our zucchini, we have our carrots, we have our, we're gonna add our onions right now. And these are already chopped because my eyes are super sensitive no matter what trick I try. So I wasn't gonna chop these on screen, so they're already chopped. Onions are a rich source of the or actually the phytochemical called allicin, yeah, ALLICIN. And so there's lots of protective components to that. And I'm not using all of them because it was more than what was needed. So once we have all of our veggies in here, I'm going to toss them together. I'm just going to stir them to kind of get everything mixed up. And then I'm going to take my herbs. So we have parsley, we have basil, we have oregano, and we have thyme. Parsley, on all of these herbs have antioxidants and phytochemicals as well that are great for immune health and flavor overall. So I'm just gonna chop my parsley, and parsley actually has vitamin E in it, in case you didn't know. I'm gonna add that. And then I'm going to take my oregano. And I like to de-stem it by kind of just pulling down like this. And then you have all the oregano. Then I'm gonna chop up my basil really quick. There's nothing like the scent of fresh fresh herbs. Anybody grow any herbs in their garden? We're going to take a few bay leaves and include those in there. We're going to coat all of this with extra virgin olive oil. Some salt, some pepper. We're going to mix it. So anybody have a garden?
Yes, we grow thyme, lavender, rosemary, basil, and some other fruits and vegetables. But as far as herbs, those are the ones I can remember right now.
I do rosemary and basil, oregano, and dill.
Ooh, that's nice.
I have mint and cilantro.
Mint
And
and
basil.
cilantro. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so once all this is kind of mixed together, we're gonna put it on our roasting pan. And we're just gonna spread it out evenly.
Marissa, do you ever use parchment paper?
I do use parchment paper, not on this one though.
Why?
No reason. So I'm gonna keep the rest. Well, you know what? I'll just add it. It'll cook through. Could really fill up 2 roasting pans. So when you're doing the recipe, kind of keep that in mind that it does make a lot. So depending on how many people you're feeding or how much leftovers you want to have, this is how deep one recipe will fill a roasting pan. So we're going to pop it in the oven. And we're going to let it cook for an hour. And then when it's done, it's actually going to look like this. Okay. And so you can serve it with whole grain bread, pita. You can serve it with crackers, kind of whatever sounds good to you. So let's see. I'm going to serve this with whole wheat pita. And you don't want to forget to remove your bay leaves from here. So that out. They offer great flavor, but they're not so yummy to bite into. Okay, so I'm going to grab some whole grain pita bread to eat with it. And then you have a dish that looks like this.
That's lovely.
Thanks. Just a note about this too. I know earlier we determined that this recipe has lots of vitamin C, it has vitamin A, and it has phytochemicals and antioxidants from the variety of color from these vegetables and fruits. Something that I wanted to mention is that if you wanted to add food that contains zinc, because we know that zinc has properties that can strengthen and bolster our immune system. So if you wanted to add some zinc to this dish, something that would make sense would be like lentils, beans. So a legume product would be, I think, beneficial to add to this dish to kind of boost up its nutrient quality overall. The benefit of having the beans or lentils, which contain plant-based protein and iron, is that you already have the vitamin C in this dish. So you already kind of have that combination working for your body. So that's one idea. Okay. And then also something else worth noting is that oftentimes whole grain products contain zinc as well. So by pairing this with beans and a whole grain product such as whole grain bread, you're getting the benefits of zinc as well as fiber. And remember, fiber foods can feed our gut microbiome and promote the good guys, or the good microbes, to help our immune system do what it's supposed to do. So any questions on this dish or anything that I mentioned?
Did you use yellow onion?
I'm sorry, you cut out on my end.
Oh, yellow onion, was that what you used?
I used white onion and then yellow bell pepper.
Okay.
We have a question from, let's see, from Joanne. If you don't have fresh basil, parsley, or oregano, can you use dried herbs?
Yes, absolutely. I'm all about flexibility, and the key is, you know, to use what you have. And if you have dried herbs, then you're going to be getting the same benefits as, you know, for flavor purposes than you would with the fresh. So that's okay to be flexible and use what you have if you don't have the fresh. Any other questions?
What about garlic?
Oh, yeah, great question. So garlic has the same antioxidant properties as onion. And so you can absolutely use garlic. I was a little surprised that this recipe didn't call for garlic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like garlic would make sense to add in here. So absolutely, you can add garlic.
Okay.
Okay. Just another note that using fat, such as the extra virgin olive oil, fat helps our bodies to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. So the fat-soluble vitamins that are in this dish, I think I said A, E, and K. Being that we used extra virgin olive oil, being the fat, that's just going to help our bodies utilize the fat-soluble vitamins that are in some of these vegetables that we used. Okay.
I have another question from Janine. Is it the same nutrients as fresh herbs if you use dried?
No, you're going to be getting different nutrients in the fresh herbs than you would from the dried.
Okay, if there's no other questions for this dish, Marissa will present the next one.
Okay. Let me set this to the side. We're doing it's called iced banapple turmeric smoothie. And this is taken from the Blue Zones kitchen. I like this recipe because on the recipe page, it actually talks about the benefits of turmeric. And it talks about how, I guess, there's studies in terms of the usage of turmeric in the Okinawans. And so how they have less cases of Alzheimer's than people in the United States. And the commonality, or I guess the disconnect would be the use of turmeric is higher there than it is here. And so I thought that was really interesting. Does anybody know the active compound in turmeric?
Curcumin.
Yeah. Yep. So it's part of the ginger family. And recently, in addition to having benefits of, for the prevention of cognitive decline, it's also being studied as an anti-inflammatory property, which can translate into, possibly boosting the immune system. Now, there's a lot more research and study to be done on this particular, compound, but it is promising research. There's also a lot of questions, I should add, that have to do with the absorption of curcumin and how much is actually needed to get, from the gut into our bloodstream to reap the benefits. And so I'm excited to continue to kind of follow the research on that. But nonetheless, it does have a pretty earthy flavor, I would say. And even if there's some small benefits, that aren't really harmful, I figure why not add it? And putting it in a smoothie like this recipe does is such an easy way to reap any potential benefits that it might offer. So we're going to do about a cup of soy milk. You could use vanilla flavor, you could use unsweetened, whatever you prefer. We're going to do a banana. And by the way, the soy milk offers plant-based protein. It's fortified with vitamin D and calcium as well. Banana has lots of fiber, which again promotes the good microbes in our gut. And potassium, which is beneficial for blood pressure, lots of other things. Apple, again, rich in fiber. Doesn't really matter what kind of apple you use. The recipe doesn't specify. So I chose Fuji. We're going to do some ice. And the recipe doesn't call for pineapple, but I kind of always like to get a little bit creative and think about how can I get more nutrition in whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm adding pineapple, frozen pineapple, about a cup. And then we're going to add our turmeric. Okay, I'm going to blend this. And then you have a drink that looks like this. Can you see it? I just added a little more turmeric on top and put a banana slice on the rim. Okay, so what questions do we have about this?
Question from Marlene. Is there a downside to soy milk?
I think the only downside would be if you don't prefer the taste of it. In terms of health benefits, downsides, not that I'm aware of.
What about adding some like nutmeg or cinnamon?
Absolutely, yeah.
That seems like it would go well.
Yeah, and the recipe called for vanilla soy milk. Like I said, I use plain soy milk, but I think the addition of the pineapple and then the banana kind of added the natural sweetness.
Could you add black pepper to the top of that so that you have black pepper to go with the turmeric?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, there are some studies indicating that if you add black pepper to turmeric, you could possibly increase its absorption a little bit better. So yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Question from Leah. Can you replace soy milk with almond milk?
You can, as long as you're aware that you're not going to be getting any protein from the almond milk. I think almond milk is like maybe 1 gram of protein. Yeah. Whereas soy milk has about 8 grams per cup.
Question from Ellen. How much turmeric did you add?
Probably about 2 teaspoons. I know it's kind of heavy with the shaking it.
Important question. Is it delicious?
It's really tasty. It's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, so the main nutrients in here are going to be your vitamin C, the potassium, and the fiber and which again feeds our microbes, and then also, the protein from the soy milk. So as you can see, having a varied intake is going to be what's most beneficial to make sure that our immune system is functioning properly. And so there's lots of studies indicating that people who are underfed or underfueled or malnourished for various reasons, maybe it's, difficulty having access to certain foods, that there's a higher, increase in illnesses because people who are malnourished simply just do not have the nutrients needed to combat certain illnesses. And of course, nothing's guaranteed. We could do, at least I know for me, sometimes we could feel like we're trying to do all the right things and we still get sick. And like I said, it's kind of just part of life, but at least knowing that we're doing our best to equip our bodies with the nutrients that it needs to be primed to, to get better and to heal and to be well and to fight through the illness is something important that we should keep in mind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What do you think that something like, so after hearing about the varied diet, vitamin C, zinc, sleep, stress management, what do you think that's most difficult for you? Or that is the, I guess, biggest area of improvement? For me, it's stress management, I'll say.
For me, it's exercise, but I would say that improving diet is a challenge. We all have habits that we're in terms of how we eat. So it's hard to break out of that and try new recipes like these and a different way of eating. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then going to the store and having the stuff available when you want to try it.
Yeah.
And making my husband and son happy with what is for dinner.
Mm-hmm. So true.
I would say for me, it's sleep and exercise is the two challenges. I don't seem to do the exercising very consistently, and then sleep is just an issue.
Yeah, and that's very real, I think a lot of people are struggling with sleep for various reasons. And exercise too, there's only so much time in a day, so much time in a week. What else? What are some other challenges that you guys feel?
It's eating right for me, reducing sugar, reducing carbs. I eat plenty of vegetables and fruit, but I love mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, potatoes are a rich source of potassium and fiber.
Yeah, just eat too many of them, I guess.
Oh.
Exercise, not a problem. Sleep, not a problem.
Awesome.
Food, problem.
Yeah.
For me, it's keeping fresh produce in the house. I live by myself, and so I'm trying to limit the amount of trips that I make to the grocery store. So for me, having fresh produce at my ready is probably my biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I never know what you can, I have the same problem as Laura just talked about, and I never know what all I can freeze or not freeze. I mean,
a lot of the like frozen fruits and vegetables do retain many of their nutrients, even though they're frozen. Because oftentimes they're flash frozen. So once they're picked or harvested, they're immediately frozen. And so that preserves a lot of the nutrient content in the frozen vegetables and fruits. So that could be an option too, if anybody's having trouble keeping fresh on hand. So the last one is actually a tea. And this isn't from any specific recipe. I kind of just made it up on my own. And so basically all it consists of is I'm choosing to use green tea. You can use whatever tea you prefer. And you just add lemon, about a half of a fresh lemon, squeezed, turmeric, and honey. And what this naturally provides is just an extra dose of vitamin C. There are benefits from green tea that require further research, but I think it's a compound called catechins that are in the green tea that have been shown to promote, both physical and also mental health as well. And so when you add honey, it kind of just adds a little bit of sweetness to kind of offset the earthiness of the turmeric. And it's kind of just a peaceful, calming tea to have when you have a sore throat or when you're not feeling like you want to drink a lot of water. It's kind of just an easy way to make sure that you're getting hydration and also, sort of an extra dose of nutrition too when you're not feeling up to eating. So that's one of my favorite recipes. Any questions about that?
How much turmeric did you say you put in, Marissa?
Yeah, so I'm not the best at measuring, to be honest. I do at least 2 teaspoons, I would say. You kind of just shake it. Actually, I'm gonna go grab some hot water. Excuse me.
Did you zest your lemon?
No. Okay. Maybe it's closer to a teaspoon.
And does it fully dissolve?
No, you have to keep stirring it. Yeah. Most of it dissolves, I'll show you. I don't know if you're not going to be able to see that, but most of it does dissolve. But you'll notice if you don't drink it fast enough, then it'll accumulate on the bottom. And then you just stir it again. And that's all. So kind of to recap, really having a strong focus on a variety of fresh fruits or frozen fruits and vegetables, whole grains, plant-based protein. That's going to be what's going to give us the most benefits in terms of having adequate fiber, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, which all have benefits to supporting a healthy immune system. Does anybody have any questions on specific foods for those particular nutrients that I just mentioned?
I have a question, Marissa. Since it's feeling like fall or almost, I start to crave things like, butternut squash and acorn squash, those vegetables. And so I'm curious, what kinds of nutrients do we get from those?
Yeah, great question. So you're going to be getting fiber and vitamin A.
Okay.
And then you're also going to be getting all the beneficial properties that are in those particular colors of vegetables, right? So you're always going to be getting some sort of phytochemical from there. And like I said, having a variety of color is going to get you the different varieties of phytochemicals from that particular color compound.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And it's cool how our bodies work, right? Because even though there's not like one main, food that we typically eat or that really we need to eat for every meal or snack, as long as we're getting a variety, our bodies know what to do with all those various nutrients that are coming from a variety of fresh foods. And they work together. So that's kind of cool. Any other questions? Oh, there's also, I was just going to add, there's also potassium in those squashes. I think, Erin, did you ask that? Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone, for joining. Have a good day.